Hello viewers, today we are looking at Likely WAEC Government essay questions. Alright, I will advise that you get a biro and of course your notepad so that you can make some jottings from this discussion today. These past questions, they are likely WAEC questions that we are looking forward will come out in exams. The first question we are looking at today is this: highlight 5 features that make democracy the most popular system of government. The point here is, why is democracy the most popular system of government? There are other systems of government, but democracy seems to be the most popular system. Why? Highlight any of the 5. And when you are asked to highlight, please take note of this. Highlight means state the point and give the meaning. State the point, give the meaning. State the point, give the meaning of your point. That's highlight. I've already highlighted it to this point, and then you give their minutes. So let's see. I try to look at some features. Remember, these features also means characteristics. Okay? It also means elements. Elements. Okay? Characteristics. Elements, what again can we call it? Anyhow, let's go. These are some of the answers I could think of at the moment. A major feature of democracy or democratic system of government is popular participation. In other words, the people who are the public participation. Majority of the people are participating in politics. Remember, democracy is government of the people. Democracy is government of majority. So there must be popular participation in government. Unfortunately, some countries where we claim we are practicing democracy is not democracy, because when you look at the ratio of registered voters and ratio of those who actually vote compared to the ratio of the population of that country, it's just minimum. Alright, but that's another story. So there must be popular participation so as to guarantee popular sovereignty. Remember, sovereignty belongs to the people, the electorates. So to guarantee popular sovereignty, there must be popular participation in government. The next feature or element of democracy that why people prefer to other system of government is free and fair election. Election without manipulations, elections that shows the will and the interest of the people as a free and fair election. Okay? 3 is regular and periodic election. Election is not just once and for all. There should be a timetable for election. For instance, in Nigeria, election takes place every 4 years. Okay? Regular and periodic election. It should be periodical every 4 years. It should be regular. Another element, very important, is independent and impartial electoral commission. The electoral umpire. The umpire, that you call it electoral umpire, or you call it electoral body, umpire or electoral body, should be seen as being independent from the government. Should be independent from the government, particularly the executive. Should be independent from the government. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, it is not so. Why? Because the chairman of this electoral commission has been appointed by the president, who is the head of the executive. So his loyalty could be to the president who appointed him. So, what? It can also be seen to be impartial, and it can only be impartial if they are non-partisan. They can be impartial if they are non-partisan.
Get the cheapest science materials from allschoollabs.com.
Non-partisan means not belonging to any political party. Recently, I think last week or so, there's some information that was generated about the current chairman of Nigeria, INEC, as per his position and loyalty to APC as a party before he became the chairman. And even now, a lot of things are taking place, and I don't want to go into that anyway. It's on the social media, right? But the Electoral Commission, the electoral umpire, should be seen as independent from government, should be seen as impartial, not favoring any political party. Another element is the review and updated voters list. Before every periodic election, the voters list should be updated so that people that are not up to the age of voting, now that have attained that age, should be allowed to register and vote. People that have moved from one place to the other, their list should be updated and reviewed to their new locations. Okay? The next one, there should be freedom of the press. The press here means the media. The media should be allowed to give accurate information about the activities and policies of government. They should not be gagged. They should not be censored. That's democracy. Another one is rule of law. The rule of law. The rule of law. Okay? The rule of law. There should be equality of all citizens. And that is why this ideology of one man, one vote. One man, one vote. The president will not say because he's the president will vote twice. No, he's entitled to vote once. So there's rule of law, equality before the law, and the people's votes should be allowed to what? To count. People's votes should be allowed to count. Okay? I thought I put another one here. Okay, you can still look more. For this, it asks you to look for 5. I think I have a 7 or 8 here. So you can look for more as element of democracy. The next one is explain 5 factors that limit. 5 factors that limit the powers of government. Limitations to the power of government. Okay? You have to explain. I just mentioned it for you, so you just explain them. The first factor that limits the powers of government is the Constitution. Why? The Constitution sets the rules and regulations that govern the states. Okay? So by so doing, the government cannot act in contrary or outside the Constitution. And that is why number 2 is saying, what is constitutionalism? Constitutionalism means the obedience to the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. Obedience to the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. Doing what the Constitution says. Acting according to the Constitution. That's constitutionalism. Obedience to the Constitution. Another way to limit powers of government is separation of power. Separation of power is the sharing of governmental powers among the 3 organs of government, or the 3 agencies of government: the legislature, the executive, and of course the judiciary. So by so doing, none of this organ is arrogating all the governmental powers to itself, because the power of government is shared among them. Separation of power. And that follows on with what? Checks and balance. Checks and balance. Checks and balances has to do with the capacity or the ability of each of these organs of government to check themselves in order to avoid arbitrary use of power. Checks and balance was introduced as a contradiction as well as complementary to separation of power. it contradicts that you don't separate these three people that are working together, because when you talk about government, government equals L plus E plus J. Government equals legislature, executive, and judiciary. So separation of power is talking about total separation among these three organs. Okay? But checks and balances is saying that you cannot totally separate them since they are working together to form government. That there should be a room created by which they can check themselves. Okay? So that none of them will not be abusing power, become arbitrary. And that checks and balance provided special powers for these three organs of government to check themselves.
Run quick tests and analysis. Visit analysis.africa.
The power given to legislature is called Act of Parliament. Act of Parliament. The power given to executive is called veto power. Okay? The power of judiciary is called judiciary review. So these three operating under these three special powers under checks and balance. I hope you're with me. The three organs of government can check themselves such a way that none of them will be abusing power or be above the law. Okay? As it is now, the head of the executive, who is the president, as strong as you think the president is under a presidential system of government, he cannot swear himself in even when he wins an election. He has to wait for the head of judiciary, the Chief Justice of the Federation, to swear him in, to take an oath of office. That's also a form of checks and balance. The president cannot become too powerful such a way he thinks that he can do and undo. By the act of parliament, he can be impeached by the legislature. So you can see, checking themselves to avoid arbitrary use of power. All the bills passed by legislatures has to pass through what? Presidential veto. It has to be signed to law. And some of those laws, even when it's signed to law, they collaborate, signed to law, judiciary review, they can refuse to interpret law by saying that that law is null and void. In other words, is inconsistent with the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. All these take place what? Under checks and balance. Okay? Sorry. Thought I can move. Okay. I'm thinking if I can do some of this stuff. Okay, the next one is also rule of law. Rule of law means equality before the law. Equal right for all citizens. That everybody is equal before the law. Alright? Nobody is above the law. The government, the members of the organs of government, the agencies who are the government, they are not above the law. They are under the law. Okay? They are under the law. And that is what we call part of rule of law. So these are limitations, these are factors that limit the powers of the government. Okay? Such that government cannot become too powerful, cannot become arbitrary, cannot become above the law. Alright? Very well. Okay? Another one is the media. Like I mentioned, that democracy, the media. The media play a major role by exposing all the activities of the government. They checkmate, they monitor the activities of the government. So by so doing, the government cannot become too powerful. What about public opinion? The people. The people can reject, the people can act, the people can protest against any action or policies of government that is not of their interest. In other words, the people are watching, because the government are there to serve the people, not to serve themselves. And that's why we say democracy is government of the people, for the people, by the people. Okay? So all these factors can limit the powers of government, can make government not be able to become overlordship, not able to become above the law, not able to become arbitrary. Alright? Very well. So let's move on to the next question. I hope you are learning here. Okay? The next one here is outline 5 reasons for which the judiciary is kept independent of the control of the executive and legislature. What is this question just asking you? It's asking you one of the principles of government, known as what? Judiciary independence. Judiciary independence. Or some would say independence of judiciary. So the question now is, why must judiciary be independent from executive and judiciary? Judiciary is sensitive. You know, another name for judiciary is what? Is the court of law. Okay? And remember that court of law is the last hope for any common man. So judiciary is the last hope for any common man. So for any common man who has been maltreated or whose right has been denied or tampered with, either by another citizen or by government, the only way to seek redress is judiciary, the law courts. So if the law court is not free from executive and legislature, of course, you know that such a common man will not be able to get justice. Okay. So why must we have judicial independence? That's what the question is asking you. Reasons for independence of judiciary. Okay. The first answer I'm looking for here is fair hearing. They said somebody still is just an accused until is proven what? Guilty. Okay? So no matter what somebody does, he should be given opportunity for fair hearing to see his own part of the offense before the law. So fair hearing, and that is only guaranteed under judiciary. And if judiciary is not independent, it won't be able to guarantee fair hearing. Another one is impartial justice. If judiciary is subservient to the executive, then their judgment will be manipulated by the executive. Okay, they were partial. So for judiciary to be impartial in giving their justice, they must be independent from the other agencies and organs of government.
400,000 cheap medicines, cosmetics, and analytical supplies. Everything in one big place. AllSchoolLabs.com.
Also need to be independent so as we want to prevent abuse of power, particularly of the executive. You know, the executive here is seen to be the real government because it's the one that controls the daily activities of government. That's the president and his ministers. So sometimes they arrogate too much power to themselves. Sometimes they forgot that they are servants of the people. They see themselves as lords. So we need judicial independence to be able to prevent the excessive or arbitrary use of power by these other organs of government. We also need independent judiciary to protect the rights of citizens. This is fundamental human right. Please, in exam, you must write it in full, and you can now put this one in brackets. Fundamental human right. The only way you can defend your right, you can protect your, can seek for your right, is in the court of law. That's the judiciary. You can see why it's very important for the judiciary to be independent. The judiciary is also the one that defends the constitution, because there's possibility for the executive and legislature to have alliance and want to manipulate the system. It is judiciary that will stand out and declare such law as what? As null and void. Just like what I said earlier. The null and void means illegal and unconstitutional. So, any law made by legislature, signed by executive, that is inconsistent with the constitution of the country, with the level of inconsistency, it will be declared null and void, illegal and unconstitutional. So they need to be independent to be able to defend the constitution of the state. Okay. Now we need independent judiciary so that people's confidence in the legal system will still be standing. Unfortunately today, for instance, in Nigeria, people are losing confidence in the justice of Nigeria, because it seems that It's now cash and carry for who can pay. It seems there's so much manipulation everywhere. So people are losing gradually confidence in judiciary because judiciary is not independent. It's not free from these two organs. Okay? For instance, the head of the judiciary is the Chief Justice of the Federation. And this Chief Justice of the Federation is appointed by the President, who is the head of the executive, and approved by the legislature. So it's a form of checks and balance, but then it should not be so subservient. The executive, the President should not also have power to what? To remove the Chief Justice. So we need the federal judiciary so that people will have confidence in the legal system of that society. So these are the answers WAEC is expecting from you. You can see I just bring them out. You should be able to what? Remember this outline, just make a statement. Don't write like this in exam. This is what we call in WAEC, they call it mere mentioning. Mere mentioning. Okay? I think the mark allotted for this should be possibly 15 marks. Okay? Which means for every point stated, you get 3 marks. So 3 times 5 is 15. But if you just write it like this, WAEC will give you 1 mark each. Because mere mentioning is what? 1 mark. 1 mark. Why are they giving 1 mark? Are you wrong? No. Because you did not make complete statements. You can see as I was saying it, I was making statements. It's not that you tell stories, but you should make statements. Make sure that every point you are giving in WAEC make a complete sense. A complete statement so that I can get your complete marks. It's very important. If you do just one word answer like this, they call it mere mentioning WAEC. It's a WAEC marking guide like that. And they will give you just 1 mark. So when you say fair, you should tell my fair hearing, which means an accused should be allowed to express himself before being what? Condemned. He's not guilty until proven so. Impartial justice. You should be able to tell us that judicial independence to be independent, such a way that they can give justice impartially, will not be partial with their justice system. Just make a statement in line with this. So I give you these keywords that you are going to use to make statements. Make a statement. Don't just write like this. This will get 1 mark. But when you make a statement, you get your full marks. If you just write one like this, you get 1, that's 5 marks instead of 15 marks. And that's you didn't get good mark. This one that lecturer, this one you gave. No. Make statement with your point. Very important, because every point I'm explaining them to you. Thank you. The next one. Identify 5 factors that make public opinion an important aspect of democratic process. So we're talking about public opinion and democracy now. There's no way you talk about democracy without making reference to public opinion. What is public opinion? The views, the interests of the majority of the people in that society. That's public opinion. Okay? And remember that democracy is also what? Public participation, popular participation, majority rule. Okay, so that's connectivity. So the first factor I'm putting forward here, why public opinion is important, is that the public opinion makes the government accountable. Accountability of public office holders. Public office holders. Office holders to the people. You can see this is a complete statement now. Accountability of public office holders to the people. Public opinion puts a kind of checkmate on the government, people in government, to make them accountable to the people who elect you, who put you in office. You didn't get it by yourself. You are there to represent the interests of the people, not yourself. Influence decision making of the government. Influence decision making of the government. The people react. The people protest. The people speak out about decisions, about policies of the government. So doing, influencing it either negative or positive. Influence electoral outcomes, electoral decisions, electoral results. In a Senate climb, before the election, there's always opinion poll. And most often time, the result of opinion poll before the election always reflects the result of the election, oftentimes. We may not have that kind of system in Nigeria, but most of the time, when you have the feeling of the people, what people are saying, it's more time showing you the direction of the election, except there's manipulation in that election process, which is common in Nigeria. So, the public opinion influences the outcome of election. Full statement. The public opinion also encourage citizens participating in political process.
Run credible medical tests and chemical analysis here. From malaria to HIV tests.
Citizens participating in government, in political process, in public decision making. That is public opinion. You can see how it's connecting to democracy, public participation, public opinion, citizens' involvement. Legitimacy. What is legitimacy? Legitimacy means the general acceptance or recognition. General acceptance or recognition the people gives to the government. General acceptance or recognition the people gives to the government. Okay? So via the public opinion, you will know whether the people is legitimate, whether the government is legitimate or not. But some people are saying that the person who is in the government is not their president because they know that they didn't vote for them. They are believing for them that the election was rigged. But what they can't do anything about it. They may not have the evidence, but they have the feeling. They have the public opinion. So by so doing, as far as they are concerned, such person in power has no legitimacy. And when the government has no legitimacy, is a very serious thing. Anyway, it's a subject of conscience. Via public opinion too, people are educated politically. Political education has spread through public opinion, whether through the mass media, social media, the press, and what have you, print medias, okay? Political education. The next one is I highlight 5 ways of effectively controlling local government to live up to its mandate. Local government has mandate. Mandate means responsibility, duties. Responsibility, duties, roles they are expected to perform at the local level. Remember, the local government is the 3rd tier of government. The 3rd tier of government. The 3rd level, that's what we call tier of government. The 1st level is federal, the 2nd is state, and the state. So as the 3rd tier of government, which means the government at the grassroots, there are certain responsibility expected of the local government. So, how can we effectively control these mandates, these duties? Number 1, there's what we call legislative control. The legislature has a way of controlling local government. How? Remember that the local governments are created by act of parliament, the power of legislature. Okay? So that's a level of control. They are created by legislature. So legislature knows what local government Nigeria has. For you to create any boundary or change any boundary or create one local government in Nigeria, the legislature must be part and parcel of it. I don't think 1999 constitution allows states to create local government, but then you have to submit to National Assembly for approval, for gazetting. Okay? Another way legislature control is through bylaws. Bylaws are laws made by the local governments. So when such laws are made, they are submitted to the legislature. Now, the legislature is the only organ that make laws. But they can delegate such power. This is what they call delegated legislation, bylaws. They can delegate such power to local government for the local level. But such laws must be submitted to them for supervision and monitoring. You can see control for the legislature. Now, for the executive monitors the budget allocations given to the local government. Remember, there's what they call federal allocation, federal budget allocation. Right? All the monies are with the executive at the federal level, and this money are shared among the 3 levels of government: federal, state, and local government. The one that belongs to local government is sent to the state government, who now oversee it. So executive has a form of control on the funding, the funds, and management of such funds of the local government. The judiciary also have level of control in local government. There are customary courts. We call it customary or local courts. Customary or we say local courts. These are the lowest form of level of court, lowest level of court in Nigeria, operating in the local government. Okay? There are some cases at the customary or local courts that higher courts, like state high court, will make a demand for such cases to be transferred over if they notice that the case are not properly handled or the proper judgment was not given, proper interpretation was not given. There will be an order that such law or such cases or judgment be transferred to higher courts, either state high court or federal high courts. Okay? That's also another form of control. The public, which are the people enjoy the services or the duties of local government. So the people have a way of controlling them, checkmating them, complain, protest on their policies and their decisions. The people, public control. State government, particularly in Nigeria. Remember I told you, the allocations of local government are sent down to the state. It is the state that oversee and supervise them. Remember, local government directly operates under the state. Okay, their activities, their functions, their projects are being supervised and overseen by the state government. We also have many government agencies that control the activities of local government. Like when you talk about EFCC, ICPC, okay? They can monitor funds, the way funds are being allocated and being utilized at the local level. So these are some of the ways we can control local government for effective services. Okay? I hope you are getting value for this class.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the video you just watched. To see more content as that, preparing you for your upcoming exam, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on notification. Also, remember that you can use the comment section to send us your questions or your inquiries, and we are happy to take them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.